Speaking at the Herzliya conference, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Dan Shapiro related to the BDS campaign.
I always emphasize President Obama's and Vice President Biden's staunch opposition to BDS. President Obama said, "I've directed my administration to strongly oppose boycotts, divestment campaigns, and sanctions targeting the State of Israel. And as long as I am president, we will continue to do so." Those are our marching orders, plain and simple, and we carry them out every day.
Shapiro says that to counter this campaign, the best thing to do is to strengthen the connections between Israel and the United States.
Beyond our opposition, I also remind Israelis that it's our counter-boycott, our unceasing efforts to tighten economic relations, that is perhaps the most critical element of our response to BDS. Boycotts are not an abstract notion for the United States. We were targets of an Arab oil embargo in the 1970s. We faced a choice of oil or Israel, and we refused to surrender. Rather than buckle to blackmail, we increased our support for Israel, outlawed compliance with Arab boycotts, and doubled down on our diplomatic efforts at Arab-Israeli peacemaking, decisions that proved momentous and hugely beneficial to both our countries. We believe the steps we take to reject and oppose efforts to boycott or delegitimize Israel have a deadening effect on attempts by others, including more recently debated boycott and divestment measures by nonprofits and local groups. It is true that there are voices in the United States, on college campuses and elsewhere, that are promoting the BDS campaign against Israel. They have that right. But no one should have any doubt that the policy of the U.S. government is to vigorously oppose and counter such initiatives. And our actions speak even louder than our words. Others may advocate boycotting Israel, but we are doing the exact opposite. We are actively seeking to deepen our economic partnership with Israel. We encourage American companies to invest in Israel and then celebrate their successes. We're recruiting Israeli businesses to invest in the United States. In every sector, we're trying to generate more trade, more partnerships, more investment, more joint R&D. We do it because contributing to Israel's economic success is the right thing to do, and it's in our interest, no matter what the critics say. And frankly, we don't mind at all if it generates jobs and profits for Americans at the same time.
Although it did not blame Israel for the BDS campaign, Shapiro says that a peace process will reduce the justification of BDS.
America will never lessen its commitment to peace. Progress toward peace would also help in the fight against BDS and would further weaken those who advocate isolation. Now, true supporters of BDS have an anti-Israel and in some cases even an anti-Semitic agenda, independent of efforts to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But we must also reach those who support a two-state solution, but who might be tempted by the misguided arguments of the BDS movement. It's always been the case that one of our most effective tools to defeat boycotts and delegitimization of Israel is the presentation of a political process, negotiations, or some political horizon that gives hope for a two states, for two peoples resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So it's certainly in Israel's and the United States' interest to find the way back to direct negotiations with the Palestinians, and until then, to take steps to keep the two-state solution viable for the future and avoid steps such as settlement expansion that seem to move the parties further away from rather than closer toward a two-state solution.
In the opening of his statement, Shapiro related to the latest terror attacks in Orlando, Florida, and Sarona Market, Tel Aviv.
During a week like this one, I also want to take time to thank Israeli leaders, the Israeli people, and so many friends and counterparts who have expressed their solidarity with the American people following the horrific terrorist attack in Orlando, which took 49 innocent lives. All Americans were attacked, we make no mistake about that, and the LGBT community was targeted and suffered unbearable losses. And as Americans, President Obama said on Sunday, we're united in our grief, but also in our resolve, and we will continue to do all that's necessary to defend our people. Frankly, our actions speak louder than our words. We'll continue to do what's necessary to defend our communities and our homeland, and beyond our borders, we'll continue our broader campaign against violent extremism, including our military campaign to destroy terrorist groups like ISIL. Now, not long before the tragedy in Orlando, I visited the Sarona Market. I went as a friend, as an ally, and I was drawn there to express my country's solidarity as Israel struggles with yet another deplorable, unjustifiable act of terror. We condemn this terrible attack without reservation. It can never be justified or explained away. We wish the memories of the fallen to be a blessing and a source of comfort to their families and communities, and that the wounded find refuah shlema. Our common sense of grief, friendship, and resolve unites us in these dark days and reinforces our commitment and our cooperation to fight hate, to defend our peoples, and to secure peace.